Hey everybody, it's Mary at Yard Art Us from Pearland, Texas. I hope you guys are doing well today. It's cold outside, so I'm trying to stay warm. And I'm going to paint something that we call a triple bunny. So this one, what I did, he's got polka dots, then he's got stripes, and then we've got a chevron pattern over here. Hey guys, how are y'all doing? So I'm going to be base coating this guy for you in just a few minutes. And then I'm actually going to go on our Painters Club this afternoon and I'm going to finish it. But right now what I did is I started with one coat of white. And then on my polka dotted bunny, I'm going to go ahead and do some shading pink or like a fuchsia pink. Hey Karen, hey Debbie, how are y'all? I hope you guys are doing great. I see Marita's on and Amanda and Linda. So glad y'all could join me. I'm going to load my brush right now. So I'm just kind of going back and forth right now. The goal is just to load that brush. So I got it loaded. So now I'm ready to paint. So I know I'm scheduled to go live today at 2 o'clock in our Painters Club to do this guy. But if I don't go ahead and base coat him right now, then the issue with that is I won't finish him on the Painters Club at 2 because this paint really has to dry. And once it's dry, then will I be ready for, just putting all the other stuff on, like the polka dots and the stripes and the highlights and what I call all the decoration. And so I'm going to paint this guy up pretty quick, like it won't take long. But with the weather the way it is, I was like, I better get on here. And my plan is go ahead and base coat him, put him under the ceiling fan because it's too cold outside right now. Which who thought we would ever have, weather like this in Texas? And for you guys in the north, y'all just probably are laughing at us, but we don't know how to deal with this. Give us hurricanes, give us floods. Yes, we can deal with that. Cold weather, not really. So I'm gonna put it under the ceiling fan here in a little bit. Hope you guys are having a good day. And Kathy says, love watching you. Thank you so much. It's something I love to do, but it is work. I mean, like anything in life, or I think anything worthwhile in life is gonna be work. So you're not gonna get anything done just by laying around on the couch. And I never did like to lay around on the couch anyway, so it's all good by me. And so when we're doing this, it's just as important, I think, sometimes make sure those edges get covered real good. And mainly for aesthetics, because we use MDO, so the edges are going to be fine. But you get another little layer of protection. And a lot of people think if you don't paint the edges, it looks unfinished, which that's true. It does look unfinished. And depending on the material you're using, it could be really detrimental not to paint the edges, just depending on what material you're using. So I'm painting these, and it's pretty just kind of, since the CNC has put the lines on here, it's really kind of paint by number, if you will, or that's kind of what I think of it. Now, y'all know, I don't know if you know, but for years we painted just drawing patterns on, or maybe tracing them on with tracing paper. And the problem is, if you get a base coat on there, your pattern disappears. But with a CNC, of course, since that line is etched or grooved in there, your pattern's not going to disappear on you. So, hey Bonnie, how are you? And Renee, y'all doing okay today? I hope you are. I hope you are staying warm because, man, it's pretty chilly out there. And y'all, it's only supposed to get worse. Not like we can really handle that kind of weather. And then I saw in the news about the wreck in Fort Worth, which was utterly horrible. I don't know, hundreds of cars involved and multiple deaths, and it's just horrible. So I plan on trying to stay close to the house. I'm not one to go very many places, but I'm going to try to just make sure I hang pretty close to the house for, especially I think they said Monday's going to be the worst day. I might have to go to the grocery store. I'm not sure. I have to check my my refrigerator. So, howdy from Southern Ohio. Hey Debbie, how are you? Debbie, I can only imagine if we are in the 30s, maybe the 40s right now. I can only imagine what Ohio's like. I've been to Ohio, Debbie, several times. We carry furniture at the shop that we sell. It's a Luxcraft brand, and they're right out of Sugar Creek. And so Of course, last year we didn't go, but and this year they're not having it either because of COVID. But a lot of times in February we would go to Ohio to go and see their dealer shows. So all of your, you know, people making poly furniture and even wood furniture would put on dealer shows in Ohio in February. And I'd be like, y'all, it's Ohio, it's February. It's like, Lord have mercy. It's pretty chilly. And so maybe we'll get to go next year. But it was, some of it was really pretty. One morning we woke up in our hotel and there was just snow everywhere. And which for Ohio is probably pretty normal, but for Texas, not so much. So that was kind of cool. And so I can imagine Ohio is pretty doggone chilly right now. If we have these, I always think if we have these kind of temperatures, which you guys have way north of us, it's just a lot colder. So I have this guy right here. I just did him in the shading pink, and I just base coated him in that. Of course, he's gonna dry, and I'll come on later on, and I will do my polka dots. He's a pretty easy pattern. It's really not that hard. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to do this guy right here in the middle. I'm gonna do him in yellow. So I'm using a number 13 light yellow. I'm gonna go ahead and fill that up because I'm gonna need quite a bit of paint. And I think I'm gonna get the old trusty mop brush out. And so, just kind of show you what I'm gonna do here. Oh, excuse me. So I've got my lines, and this guy, I want him yellow and white. So I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna kind of load that paint up on that brush. And I'm gonna have to kind of just sit here with each one of these and do it this way, but that's okay, no big deal. And so I put a coat of white on here and to start with. Now the paint that we use is a paint primer in one, which honestly, if you're buying paint, go ahead and ask people that. Used to be paint primer in one was, I don't know, not that usual, it was kind of more unusual. But the longer I look at stuff in the store, the more I'm thinking they're kind of, most of them are all paint and primer in one nowadays. It just makes your job a little easier. Because in the old days, if you didn't lay a good coat of paint, a good coat of primer, it did make a difference. But the way paint is now, if you get a paint primer in one, you're good to go. So I'm going to just kind of take my mop brush and go back and forth on my, hey there, how are you? Connie says Aunt Margaret's in here. I can't really see all the comments. Hey Sylvia, how are you? And I am going to just put a lot of, a base coat of a lot of this yellow in my stripes. So, and then that's all I'm doing on my middle guy here. Just painting him yellow, that's it, on the stripes. But, so when you're shopping for paint or you're looking for paint, even if you're, you know, no matter what your project is, you want to take into account, do I need a primer under there? And like, especially if you're painting walls and you're trying to go, let's say you got walls that are dark and you want to lighten them up and go light, you may have to put a lot of primer on there depending on what kind of coverage and pigment your paint has. So, but the cool thing about paint, y'all, if you don't like it, just kind of paint over it and move on. It's like I've done that a million times. And, I really like the yellow and pink kind of combination. And then over here, I'm gonna go plum. Miss Victoria was on the Academy with us last night. She's one of our guest painters. And she gave us a little tutorial on how to mix your own colors. And Miss Victoria is a retired art teacher, so she's got a lot more knowledge. So I was excited to have her. And we talked yesterday on our live about just different colors. And you can see I got some pink in there, but that's okay, I'll fix it. So I'm going to do this guy over here with the chevron pattern. I'm going to mix some purple and red and try to come up with what I think of as a plum. Okay, so I've got almost this guy done in the middle. And I think the secret to this pattern to make it look really good is just to think of, you have 3 pieces, but each piece, even though they're kind of like the silhouette, they're all going to have a different design. Chevron, striped, and polka dot. Now this is one of those pieces that if you wanted to, I'm not saying you do, but let's say you ain't feeling chevron, polka dots, or stripes. you can turn this guy over and just paint whatever you want. Come up with your own design. And not every design is set up that way. Depends on, like, if it's lettering, you can't do that. Like the hop letters that Ashley did, you couldn't do that. But on so many of them, you could just flip this guy over if you don't like what we have etched on one side, and just do something on, do your own thing on the other side. Now I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. Okay, so then I'm on to, so I've got my pink, I've got my yellow. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take our number 28 shading purple, and I'm gonna just kind of put it in here, about like that. And then of course I'm always doing water, y'all. I'll put some water in here. Since we use just a latex house paint, it's easy for this paint to get pretty doggone thick on you. And really, if you're painting walls, who cares? But if you're not, and you're painting yard art, you need it to kind of thin down. And I'm gonna stir, 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 stir. Stir, 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 stir. You can see, depending on how much your proportions are, I really like this purple because normally, just a reminder, here's what our normal purple looks like, right? What I would call a darker, cool color, you know. And I'm gonna go almost a plum here, more of a warm color. All right, I stir, 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 stir. So here's what I mixed. Red, these two colors right here is all I did, mix that. And here's what I came up with. Kind of like a plum color. I'm gonna break out the trusty old mop brush, which y'all know we are big believers in mop brushes. That's our thing, is to really like that. So when I look at this, and I use a mop brush just so I can get a lot of paint on there. That's the word mop. When I look at this, I'm kind of thinking, what I really want to do is I've got a color here and white here. So instead of putting a color here, I'm gonna put a color here, just to kind of break it up a little bit. Oh, I like that plum, y'all. Now this plum is made of red and purple, and y'all know that red is notoriously difficult in terms of pigment and transparency. So it's gonna be a little bit, if I'm not careful, I'm gonna have to be careful how much pressure I put on this brush so it doesn't streak to where you can see that white paint under the plum. If I put a lot of pressure on this brush, it's not gonna go well for me today. So I'm very, very, very lightly brushing this paint on to where I'm barely even touching the surface. If it's possible to paint and not touch the surface, that's how light of a hand I've got right now. And I like this because it's kind of a different color than what we're used to seeing in a lot of our stuff. But Miss Victoria gave us this tutorial yesterday, and it really inspired me to just think about color. And, you know, we have, I think, 34 color palettes, you know, and that's a lot of colors, obviously. But still, if you can come up with a different color and you don't have to buy, and for those of you that, you know, maybe you're buying paint from us or somewhere, Miss Victoria talked about how red, blue, and yellow will create just about any color you want if you know how to work it. And so she did that for us yesterday. So if you're low on a color, or you just don't want to spend that much money, buy the minimal colors and just start mixing. Don't do like me, because part of what I learned yesterday is I would get frustrated and I would just start putting multiple colors in the same thing to mix it, and it all turns to a mud brown. No can do with that. So don't do that. Just try to mix two colors at once and see where you're at. But I like that, because you can see so far, I've got that pink, then I've got that light yellow, and then of course I'm going down to this, what I call a plum color. So, and I deliberately tried to do it to where these colors just didn't match up over here, and that didn't work too good. Meaning, I'm trying to not make them on the same levelness. And I didn't do too good on that. I may have to come back and redo that. I'm gonna see if I like that or not. But so far, I'm kind of liking the colors. There we go. I'm gonna move this guy around so you can see this. Hey Judy, how are you? Hey Jean. Hi Teresa. I'm so glad you guys could join me. I'm just doing a triple bunny. Trying to stay warm on this February day in Texas. And I'm gonna be on the Painters Club this afternoon finishing this guy up. But right now, my goal is just to lay that base coat down. So I'm laying base coat colors down. That's all I'm doing right now. And trying to get my project ready for my 2 o'clock live to make this, I'll finish it up. And really on the live at 2, in terms of finishing, it's what I would consider more kind of like your decorative techniques on finishing this guy. Meaning it's gonna be like shading, highlighting, outlining, that sort of thing. And so that's what I'll be doing to finish this guy up. So I'm gonna come up here, and of course this is kind of like messed up over here. The chevron pattern is a little bit difficult to read when it's kind of going on a curve here, like the ear is curving, so to speak. Okay, so I'm gonna come up here, just putting some paint with as light a hand as I can. So I got up this morning and decided it was the day to shave, or not shave, really brush one of my dog's coat of hair because her hair's starting to fall out. Y'all, I brushed hair for like 40 minutes, and I swear I can't even tell if I mean, there's a bunch of hair on the brush, but y'all, she still's got lots of hair. She's gonna, when this cold weather lights up, I'm gonna have to shave her because we have inside dogs, and there's just, her hair's starting to get everywhere just because of her being indoors so much, which I don't really care for. You know, it is what it is. But she's my dog, y'all, and I'm a dog lover, so I gotta go with what I got. But I brushed the heck out of her this morning, and I swear there's hair still all over the floor, which I tried to sweep up, but you know how that goes. And the dog still running around with like tons of hair. So I may have to shave her once the weather gets a little better, and she's black, and she's got lots and 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 lots of fur. So it's everywhere, y'all. Now I'm gonna do this. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go a nice neutral. I've got a lot of color on here. I'm gonna go a nice, I'm gonna shake this up a little bit. How are you doing, Mark? Hi, Valerie, how are y'all? I'm so glad you could join me. I am just coming up and painting what I call a triple bunny. Now this guy has a little tail over here too, but I got a little crazy over here and forgot about that. So I'll have to put gray on top of that after a while. And I'm gonna just kind of give him a good, and I'll shade this later when I finish it, but right now I think they're all gonna have a nice neutral tail color, which is, you know, the gray. And because I got so much color on it, otherwise I think we're good. And I am gonna go back in here and touch up that white. So let me go do that right quick. I'm gonna wash, this is just a round brush, and I'm gonna use it to do the white too. And I'm gonna put some more white on here because my white is a little thin. I did I did one coat, a base coat of white, when in reality, I really should have done 2. But you know, hey, this is real life and stuff happens, so we're just gonna go with it. I really should have done 2 with the roller, and that way this would have been done by now. But I'm gonna show you. Let me shake up this white paint a little bit. Hey Tammy Lynn, hey Maria, I'm glad y'all could join me. I am adding some white now. I've just got a round brush, and I'm adding some white because I put some white on here. I started a base coat of white, and I didn't get enough white on here, but that's okay. I really should have done a base coat of white twice before I picked up any colors, but you know, hey, hindsight's always 20/20. And yesterday was a busy day. I just was running around a lot like a chicken with my head cut off. I'm sure y'all can relate to that. So I'm gonna put a little bit of white on this. You always want a lot of paint on your board here to give you a good start. Make sure you got a good coverage, like you've got the same color applied all over the place. You don't want a little bit of white on one end and a whole lot of white on the other end. One of them looks like it's got a lot of white on it, one end doesn't. You don't want that. You want it to be, you want your base coat to always be pretty doggone uniform if you can get it that way. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, because this is yard art, y'all. It's not going to be perfect. So, especially, I don't know, if, those of you that come to the shop and buy stuff, you probably had noticed that over the years, we always have used those green channel stakes, and we tend to mount our stuff kind of higher up off the ground. in reality, you know, some people might say, well, yard art should sit right on the ground, but we don't do that. We bring it up off the ground some. And the reason we do that is, y'all can hear my dogs, they have to act ridiculous. Bear, that's enough, that's enough. So the reason we do that is that we are going to always make sure we're gonna mount those on those stakes as high as we can get them without them looking weird. Because moisture lives on the ground, and so when you're weed eating and you're mowing and things like that, you want your piece of yard art a little bit up higher off the ground. And that way you kind of keep it protected, you know, as much as you can. It's going to be outside, so it's going to get dirty because that's the nature of being outside. And there we go. See the difference in the white that I have on this chevron and the stripe. On the stripe, my white is pretty thick. So I'm going to do that same thing right here. I'm going to make this kind of thick. There we go. Now it's a little harder on the chevron just because you've got more of a design you've got to deal with than just a straight line. You've got the zigzag, so to speak. But that's okay, it won't take long. And like I said, if you buy this blanket and you do it, make sure if you go a lot of white, make sure you put 2 coats of white on it before you even start putting color, which is what I should have done. But hey, you know, stuff happens, y'all. And so if you put stakes on your stuff, my recommendation is to kind of go up a little bit up off the ground with it. And we use the green channel stakes. They've got a crossbar. That crossbar is a great place for your foot to rest when you're trying to shove that piece of yard art in the ground. You don't want to grab the top of your yard art with your hands and start trying to get it in the ground that way. First of all, you're not going to be successful and just get frustrated. So if you put your foot on that crossbar, you're going to get a lot further. Sometimes I'll even stand up on that crossbar with one foot and put all my weight on it to try to get it in the ground. Because depending on the weather here, y'all know the ground can get really, really dry. And then sometimes the ground is saturated and, you know, you can barely get stuff to stand up because it's so wet. But that's part of being in Texas. All right, I got a little bit of purple paint in there, but that's all right. I can fix that later. Yes, I think I'm starting to like this. I'm glad I got on here and did a base coat, y'all. It's going to take till 2 o'clock for this stuff to dry. And just about got it base coated here. So if you are in our painters club, this guy is called the Bunny Trio, and I'm trying to look, he's $35 if you wanted to buy the blank. And I think we will have some of these out there in the yard as finished pieces, but the way the weather is going right now, it's not going to be for a while because we can't get anything to dry. But it's still early. It's only February, what, the 10th or whatever it is. So it's still early. We still have some time. Here we go. Just about got this guy finished. I hope you guys, if y'all have any questions, maybe somebody will answer them for me. If not, I'll go back here in a little bit and answer them when I get off of here. Sometimes I start talking, I forget to answer questions. But, all right, and I'm going in here and I'm just kind of taking this white paint on those edges that I might have missed when I rollered this with the roller for the base coat. So if you don't get your edges with the base coat done, it's no sweat. You can come back just like what I'm doing. I'm gonna put a little more paint right here. Pick the piece of yard art up and just kind of do it this way. Yeah, and do like that, like this. I missed it with the roller over here, y'all. So I'm just going back and hitting the edges with my paintbrush. Yeah, because you want paint on there. You're gonna make it look like it's finished. And like I said earlier, if I don't get paint on here, it's really, I'm using MDO, it's okay. But now if you're using something like a plywood, make sure you paint those edges a lot. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna come back on, but I'm gonna show you what I got. So I base coated him in white once. I should have done it twice. So if you use this pattern, make sure you base coat twice in the white. And then I just used 26 shading pink and did a generous coat. I did number 13 light yellow on my yellow. And then I did this grape. And on the grape, I simply mixed our number 26 shading purple and our number 20 red, about half and half. And there you go. I'm going to be in the Painters Club at 2 if you want to join me and see this guy when I finish him this afternoon. I hope you guys are staying warm, staying home, because y'all know in Texas we do not know how to drive in this weather. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, it's Mary at Yard Art Us. I'm going to be working on finishing up my triple bunny. Okay, so I forgot to do this earlier on the base coat. So let me do this bunny tail in gray. I should have already had that part done. I forgot to do that, no big deal. We're going to put that on there. And I'm going to kind of paint the side a little bit. And I think what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to do my polka dots. So this background is the shading pink that we have. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the light pink of ours. I think this is number 25 light pink. I'm going to take that and I'm going to put some white paint in there. Okay, I'm just going to kind of make this a really light pink. Again, I'm going to put some water in here. Hey Debbie, how are you? I am kind of getting this guy here. I'm gonna make my polka dots light pink and white. So I've got the paint in here and I'm just kind of stirring it up. I really want my polka dots to be a very soft pink. So I'm using that pink, which is number 25, and I'll put some white in there. And I'm gonna get my round brush and I'm gonna paint my polka dots right quick. So, I think this guy's going to turn out really cute. I think it's a cute design. And I'm going to, hey Kim, how are you? I think my light colored polka dots on this guy is going to be the way I want it. But first I'm going to have to put a little bit of paint on here. And try to load this brush right quick. All right. Let's see, I'm going to do it this way. I didn't want white polka dots, but I also didn't want the polka dots to be as dark as our light pink. So put a little bit of white in that light pink. So when you look at that polka dot, it looks kind of white, but it's really not a true white. It's very light pink. So I'm going to do my polka dots. I've got a round brush in my hand. I think this is the number 12. And I like a round brush for doing areas that have lots of curves. Okay, we just got back from lunch. We went over to Schlotzsky's in Friendswood, and I was really surprised, man. I think it's a small dining area in there, because it's in a very small building, and there was only 2 tables open in the whole dining area. They had I would say they had 85% of their tables. With the chairs on top of the tables, not wanting people to sit there, I guess because of the pandemic and stuff. So I was like, But luckily we were able to find a table, because sometimes if you go out on a Friday, Fridays can be a lot busier than other days. But you know, I didn't notice hardly anybody out on the street today, and I think it's the weather. I think everybody's staying home because they're just like, to heck with that. You really can't blame them. Somebody said, hey Carla, how are you? Just painting my cart with eggs pattern. Oh, that sounds good, Kim. Practice making mix. Yeah, Debbie saw. I've been, ever since we did that with Victoria last night in the academy, I'm going to be doing a lot more mixing. It just kind of inspired me. And the way Victoria explained it seemed so simple. You know, I was like, oh, okay. So, yeah. And I'll talk to y'all about what I did to mix this other paint here in a minute on this other little bunny. But yeah, today I think that the weather's, everybody's like, let's just stay home. And that's probably a good thing. Because somebody said, of course, that big wreck in Fort Worth, like yesterday, but then somebody said in Magnolia, just north of Houston, there was a big car pile up. Not as big as the one in Fort Worth, but still, you know, it's ice out there, y'all. And ice is not your friend when you're trying to drive a vehicle, particularly if you're a Texan and never had to really deal with that. So, hey Deborah, how are you? I think I told Briz, I think I'm gonna go to the grocery store this afternoon and then just try to stay home for the next 3 or 4 days and not go anywhere. I'm not trying to go around driving on no ice. I don't want to be a fan of sliding around, y'all. That's not my thing. So, y'all be glad to know that we've been over. I was over at the house earlier today, the business. You know, we have that little house. And I would say this time next week, they are D-O-N-E, done, as in complete. It looks good. They've got all the floors are done. They've got, what they have left to finish is they're having to put in the sink. We're going to have a sink there for washing brushes and stuff like that. And then they've got to put in the cabinet or the sink, and then do a little bit of plumbing for that. And then we're going to spend some time cleaning it, because like any construction zone, there's dust everywhere. But it looks really good. Keith, a friend of ours, we've known for years, and Bruce and Alex, all of them did a lot of work on that thing. But it's starting to really look good. And as soon as we can get more people vaccinated and all that good stuff, we'll have in-person stuff. Okay, I got my polka dots. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave that alone and let that dry. So I'm going to take, y'all know that we got the shading yellow. I'm going to do a little bit of shading, and I'm not going to do a whole lot, because if I'm not careful, this is a small area, and if I'm not careful, what'll happen is all the shading yellow will overpower all of your base coat light yellow, and I don't want that. So I'm going to use a fairly small brush, a flat tip brush. I'm going to try this one, and we're going to see how it goes. This one is a number 10. It might not be quite big enough, but we're going to try it. I have to think too, on this guy, I'm going to have to come back, and I'm going to have to probably do a little bit of a script liner work using this shading yellow, you know, so I'll probably do that. But so far so good. Yeah, see, anything any bigger I think is just too big. So this is a number 10, so it's still fairly small as far as your size of brush. And if you'll notice, and I think Ashley and I probably say this all the time, but it is true, my strokes are not perfect. Okay, they're just not. But I'm not really worried about that. And I think when I look at this, at first I was gonna highlight both of them, both the top and the bottom of the yellow. But looking at this, I think I'm going to just do the bottom. I kind of like it. It is a little bit different than what you might expect. I think you might expect to highlight both the top and the bottom of the stripe, but I'm just gonna do it just the bottom. I can always, if I decide I don't like that, come back and add the stripe to the top, but so far, I kind of like that. It makes it look a little different. All right, so let's go over here. And just a little bit of highlight. You can see this isn't taking me very long. Just a little bit of this makes a big difference, y'all. It really does. Brian, how are you doing? So good to see you. I know you guys are out in Galveston somewhere. Not sure exactly where y'all moved to, but I know you moved out there somewhere. Hopefully y'all are liking it out there and trying to stay warm in this weather for sure, because you know we're not used to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my script liner, and I'm going to, just using the shading yellow that I have, I'm just going to kind of come in here and put a little bit more color in there. It just gives it more color. It just gives it more definition of that same color. But I think I like it. And using a script liner for me gives me a little bit more control to make that line look a little straighter. Kind of roll up my sleeve here. There we go. Yeah, I like that. So far, so good, y'all. I'm kind of having to go over it a little bit more to make sure I get that CNC line full of paint, because that's really what I want. All right. I'm liking him. So that's what that yellow looks like so far. Kind of cool. Just kind of different, but kind of cool. Hey Lisa, how are you? Hi Patty. I'm so glad y'all could join me. And I think what I'm going to do on this guy, you know, the thing about this, I like this. I've got that plum color going. But if you look, that plum is very, very dark, isn't it? So what I might do, decisions, y'all. What to do? I think if I try to shade anything on this plum, that's not going to work because the plum is such a dark color to begin with. So what I might do, got to decide. Now, I have a choice to make. I can shade here, shade my white, or I could not shade it and just do a different color and just do an outline color. And so I got to decide. Here we go. You never know, y'all. Decisions. So I'm going to take some of my pink and I'm just going to do this with my script liner. I'm not trying to shade. I'm just doing some script liner work. The cool thing about paint, you don't like it, just wait a while, paint over it. But because these colors are so dark, this plum color is so dark, the only choice I really have is to outline it in a lighter color if I want to try to keep it springy looking. If I outline that plum, say in a black, it's gonna, I don't really like that for springtime look. Springtime look, we're trying to keep it more pastel, light color, that kind of thing. So this is what I'll do. I'll just do some light pink. And this is a light pink that I mixed with white. So it's not our true light pink. I mixed some white in here. Now what I probably would do too is I would do this. Just kind of following that pattern. Yes, so far so good, y'all. The thing about the light pink outline is it kind of helps the dark plum color stand out, but it also kind of brightens up my whole piece, making it a little bit more springy with that, I think. And you can see this guy's pretty easy to paint. It's just basically you're not doing a whole lot of real detailed stuff. It's more the basic patterned, either the stripe or the chevron or a polka dot. So it's not like you're having to do a lot of details, but it's still a good design. Just because a design doesn't have a tremendous amount of detail doesn't mean it's not a good design. You definitely can have a good design on and being more on the simpler side of things. All right. So I'll probably do that, and I would do this. And I'm not trying to make those brush strokes perfect. I'm just kind of putting them in there. Let me put this around this way. Y'all, I'm starting to really like this piece, so. And it's kind of the nature of it. Not everything I paint do I really love. Even though I love painting, you just tend to like, I think it's human nature. Some designs you like better than others. This is one that is, even though it's pretty doggone simple, it's just cute. It's a good design. And again, I'm just gonna kind of come in here and do this. Just giving it a little bit of detail. Not a lot. Now, I do have my little 3 bunny tails here that I need to do something with. Now, when I'm looking at this guy, now that I think about it, and this might be too much, so I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna go ahead and do what this instinct is. Oh, Crystal Beach. Oh, okay, I knew y'all were down there somewhere. I wasn't sure where. So I'm gonna do something, and I don't know if I'm gonna like it, but I'm not gonna worry about it because I'll come back and paint over it. I think I might like this. Okay. And just these simple brush strokes that I'm doing really do change kind of the look of this, right? Now, if you wanted it to be really busy, you could come in here underneath these pink lines and put even more brush strokes. I don't think I'm going to, but you definitely could. But I think I like this, so you just don't know. Till you do it, you don't know. But that, all I did is take some of the pink and put it on this plum color, and that just kind of, to me, gives it a little bit of a different look, so to speak. Okay, so what I've got right here is I've got my number 24 gray. So I'm going to take number 24 gray, not a lot. I'll put this about this much. That's about how much gray I got in there. Oh, you like the pink on that? I do too. I do too. And you know, it's hard to know. I'm putting about twice as much white paint as I did gray. Sometimes it's hard to know if you're really going to like it, but especially on a brush stroke like that, it's very easy to come back and cover it up if you don't. And generally speaking, yeah, Debbie, it does make a difference. What I was just going to say is, generally speaking, I think the more decoration, the better. That's not always true, and it depends on the design. But this is a simple design, so putting more brush strokes on it, I think, is kind of a good thing. So I've got a mix here. I just took number 24 gray and some white. I used about a third 24 gray, 2/3 white, and some, of course, some water. So I'm going to pick up this number 10 brush. It's kind of wet, so I'm going to sit here and make it fan out just a bit. And again, I just got this, and I'm going to make my little tail. I like to do curvies. You can do whatever. It doesn't really matter. Of course, you know my dogs. Y'all, we've got dogs around here, and they cannot be without us, so to speak. So anytime I'm out here, whether I have a live, of course the dog don't know you have a live. They think they've got to be out here with me. And then somebody has the nerve to go by my house, so they have to bark. Okay, so I've got that little guy. And what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to do that kind of same thing with the tail. Now this is still kind of wet, but that's okay. I'm just going to pretend it's not for purposes of just showing you guys. I suggest you let this dry out a little bit and don't do like I'm doing right now. It's like, do as I say, not as I do, you know, kind of thing. But, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do that middle tail, just to kind of make it a little bit different. So we're going to do this, 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 and some of that. Okay, so I've got my 2 tails on the 2 outer bunnies, so to speak. I've got them, see if y'all can see this. Yes, I think you can. So this is a lighter, so I'm going to do something just a little different with the middle guy. With this middle one, I'm going to take that same number 24. Ah, heck, y'all. That's a good save, right? Hey, Ray Brenda, how are you? I'm glad you could join me. I am going to put a little bit of this number 24. Then I'm going to put a little bit of black, not a lot, because I don't have a lot of paint in here anyway, but I don't need a lot of paint for what I'm fixing to do. And of course, a little bit of water. And with that, I'm going to pick this up. Stir, 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 stir. So what I did is on my little bunny, on the 2 tails on the outer guys, I need a little bit more gray paint. I did a light shade. For the middle bunny, I'm going to do a dark. And there's no rhyme or reason, except I just think it'll look better to break it up a little bit. To have 2 lights and then a darker one in the middle, I think is better, a little bit more as they say on TV on those fancy smancy shows, a little bit more visually interesting. Whatever the heck that means. Yeah, it is kind of like, okay, well, we want to be visually interesting like everybody else, I guess, y'all. All right, so I just took a lot of water out of there, so I'm fixing to fan this brush out, right? I'm gonna do this. Now, I can always come back and show you what you can always come back and do. If you don't think this is showing up quite enough, which I'm having a hard time getting it to show up quite enough, so let me show you what I'm gonna do. And I'm just coming over on each side, and where there's not any, or where there's just that gray base color, I'm gonna do a little bit of stroking with my brush while I've got some of this darker paint on my brush. And I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I'm just gonna do a little bit of brush stroking, and I just think the tail, you can't forget the little tail, because that's part of what makes this design look cute, I think, is the little tail. And I just did a little bit of brush stroking there. Now, so I'm gonna wash my brush out again. I'm gonna dry it again with a little paper towel like this. Hey Kathy, how are you? Kathy's my cousin, she lives in San Antonio. I really like the projects that you've been working on with the names, with the grandkids' names. You have done a really, really good job on that. I think they're beautiful. All right, so I've got, you know, I mixed these two, right? So this is gray and white, this is gray and black, and just both of them have a little bit of water in them. So I'm gonna pick this back up, and I'm gonna kind of just come in here on this middle guy with this gray and white. And you can just see, what I'm doing is maybe taking a few seconds worth of brush strokes, but it makes a difference, I think. So what I would do then is I'm gonna pick up my script liner, okay? And on this guy, y'all, I got a little bit of water here. I got to dry that up because it's not gonna go good for me if I don't. Okay, on this guy, since I've got the darker, I'm going to take the white with this, and I'm just gonna do it like this. I don't know, I think I like that. And what I'm doing is just putting some paint on this little guy. Nothing serious. There we go. That one's done. I'm washing out that script liner, and I'm going back to this darker paint and drying it off with my paper towel. I got my darker paint. Don't know if y'all can see this. Let me get it over here. There we go. Okay. And on this guy, I've got that darker, and I'm going to do this. So what I'm doing is I found a way to put 3 different shades of gray on my little tail, on the bunny tail. As Miss Victoria talked about yesterday, these bunny tails are monochromatic. It's the same color, basically, just a little bit of white and a little bit of black in each of them. But you can tell that they make a really cute little bunny tail, I think. And there we go. Okay. So let me pick this up, and I've got my script liner. And I'm just taking this darker gray and coming in here like so. Y'all, I think I'm going to go out, or go this afternoon, maybe go to the grocery store, and then come home, get in my pajamas, and stay in either on the sofa or in my bed the rest of the day, because it's just kind of that kind of day. You know, I just don't want to get out and go do anything per se. Y'all, I'm almost done. Let me show you a couple more things I'm going to do, and this guy's going to be done. Now, I'm going to pick up a little bit of white paint, just solid white paint, okay? Let me get that in here. And y'all know that Ashley and I always do highlights on pretty much any and everything we do as a last step. So, true to form, I'm fixing to put some highlights on this. You're a little rusty, yeah. Well, it looked like you had a little plan going, you know, one for each grandkid, and each one looked like they had a little saying, so that's good. So it looked like you had it going on. I've just got some white paint in here with some water, and I watered this down quite a bit because I want a soft look. I don't want a real hard look. One last thing, I already have some white in here, but it was with the flat tip brush. This is a script liner, so I'm going to put a little bit of white in here to make that white just pop a little bit more. And then we're done with the tails, y'all. We're gonna go do some highlighting on the rest of this guy. But it doesn't take long. He's a pretty easy guy to paint, I think. What I would do is I would come in here, and for sure you've got to do the highlight on your light pink polka dots. Put that right there. So what I would do is I'm going to go ahead and put quite a bit of paint on here, but then I'm going to let it bleed back off a little bit. But I want a wider stroke. This pink is really too wet, but for purposes of this video, I'm going to kind of go light on my brush stroke so y'all can just see the whole enchilada, as I like to call it, me doing all of it. Oh, and I had a little bit of a paint bleed up here, so I got to fix this. So that's the cool thing. You make a bobo, no worries, you can still fix it. And then, of course, I'm going to finish my highlights on these guys, like so, like that. Now, too, I think on this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something like this, just to kind of give me a little bit of an outline. Here's my pink guy. I really like him, I think, y'all. I really do. Oh, love the tails? I do too. They look fluffy, and that's the thing. Just like what Kathy said, that's the whole point, is you want to make them look fluffy. Now, I'm looking at this middle guy, and I'm looking at him, and this is kind of another one of those scenarios that I'm undecided, but I'm going to go ahead and do it, and if I don't like it, I'm going to let it dry, and I'm going to paint over it. But while I have the white in my hand, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And if it's too much, later on when I walk through the art room tonight, after this thing is dried, and if I feel like it's too much, I will come in here and I will just paint some yellow, light yellow, right on top of this stripe. But for right now, this is where we're going. But we can always decide if we don't want to do that later. Now, I do think I've got to kind of come in here. I've got a decision to make. So I do think I need an outline between these two guys just to make this line a little bit clearer, you know, crispy, clear, finished look, whatever you want to call it, between those two guys. And then between this guy, I need to do this, and then of course on this guy right here. And all I'm doing is just going in there, taking some white paint and cleaning that up. You don't necessarily have to do this part, but I kind of think I do, because it's going to drive me crazy if I don't. And I would do it right here. I'm just kind of covering up where all that paint meets each other. And then I'm going to come over here. Y'all, I really like this. And you know, you don't always get to say that about everything you do. I can see I missed some edges here with my roller, because I actually base coated this with a roller. And sometimes with the roller, you don't really get down in here and these little hard to reach corners, so to speak. So I'll take my little brush and I'll do it that way. Okay, now I think I'm good to go. Let me just look and make sure. Kind of fill that in again. Now, one thing I am gonna do, and we're gonna see, I think this is the way to go. I'm gonna take my script liner in this light yellow. This is that number 13 light yellow. And I'm gonna kind of do this. I'm just gonna make this line as straight as I can get it. You won't really notice it very much, per se, but it's just my way of getting that line to be pretty doggone straight. And when you're doing a stripe, you do kind of want to, for the most part, a pretty good straight line, so to speak. Okay, let's see, put a little bit more here. A little bit up here. Like so. And you're not really going to notice any difference in what I'm doing, except you're really just getting a nice, straight, yellow line over that CNC cut. Just filling in that CNC line right there is all I'm doing. Filling it in, making it straight. Y'all, and I think I'm done. Now, when I look at this guy, so far so good, I think. I can't decide, and y'all tell me. The only thing I can say about this is I'm totally happy, I think, with the pink guy. Now, on this middle guy, looking at him, should I outline him like I outlined the pink? Should I outline him like coming up here and putting a yellow outline on his tail, a yellow outline around the face, and then, of course, a yellow outline down here? Y'all let me know what you think. I can't decide on that. But there's the, and for those of you that didn't catch this earlier, because I did it on Yard Art or Us main page, this is 50% number 20 red and 50% shading purple, which I think is number 26. And so that's kind of like a, I call a plum, like a warm red purple. So that's what this is. And then, so you won't see this color per se in the Mary May's, I'm sorry, the Yard Art or Us palette. And then on the pink, it's not the regular light pink, it is the light pink mixed with white. And that's what this is, light pink mixed with white. How about orange? Okay, Caroline says yes. Okay, let's try it. Hope so. Actually, the question I just posed to them, I think you just came on, is this middle guy. So like I outlined the polka dotted pink guy, but I haven't outlined the middle guy. Should I outline the middle guy? Everybody, and that's the question. And everybody's saying outline. I kind of think so too. Kathy said, what about orange? She might be right, because if I outline in the soft yellow, I don't think that's going to look too good. So let's try something. I'm going to try shading orange. Let's try that. I think the outline orange is too red, but the shading orange is a little bit more soft looking. So I'm going to try. I think I even have some of it over here. Let's see. Ooh, I might even have some in this little thing. All right, Ashley says to outline too. See, I like having y'all telling me what to do. That way I don't have to do near as much thinking. Shading orange, Ashley says, or shading yellow. Yeah, all right. All right, I put a little bit of water in here. This thing has too much water in it, so let me take some water out of it. All right. And now the goal of this outline, I'm not going to worry about I'm going to kind of do it whimsical like I did over here. I'm not going to worry about trying to be real perfect on the edge. I'm going to come in off the edge a little bit and just kind of keep it soft and wavy and what do you want to call it? You know, not perfect is what I'm trying to say. Oh yes, I think y'all are right. I think y'all were right. I think outlining is it. Yeah, that looks cute. All right, so let me turn this around a little bit. Let me turn this around a little bit. I think it's a good design. So let's just start here. And notice I'm coming in off the edge. I'm not going on the, I'm not really on the edge. I've come in just a little bit from that edge. There we go. All right, y'all. Now, one thing I could do is just put a little bit of orange right here. I'm just kind of, and it's just going to darken it up very subtly. You're not really even going to see it. But while I have this in my hand, y'all know I can't resist. I got to add just a little bit of orange to it. Just a little bit. Okay. I'm going to call this done. D-O-N-E, done. Okay, let me show you. So if you follow this pattern, my advice to you is don't do what I did. I did one coat of white, do 2 coats of white, roller it, put a brush on it. 2 coats of white, obviously letting it dry between each one. This is shading number 26, and this is light pink that I mixed with white. I've got gray and white mixture, gray and black mixture to make this. And then light yellow, shading yellow, and then my outline is shading orange. And then over here, I of course got white, and then I have light pink and white. I mix that. So this isn't just our regular light pink, it's light pink mixed with white. And then this is a great dark warm purple, and it's 50% red and 50% of the shading purple. So that's what I did. 50% red and 50% shading purple. Stir that up with some water, and that's how you get that plum color, okay? All right, let me show you guys, and there we go. I think he's super cute. I like him because he's good design, but also look at the colors I have. All sorts of colors on here, and it's very, very visually interesting, y'all. So we'll see you guys later. I think Miss Victoria will be on the Painters Club on Sunday. Let me just see. I think I even have my schedule here. She is going to be do the floral cross on Sunday that says He is Risen. So you might want to hop in on Sunday evening and see her. If you decide you want to do this, you can pick this blank up at the shop. It's 35 bucks, and we will see you guys later. I hope y'all stay in the house, stay warm. Don't go out driving around on the ice. I'm not. We'll talk to you later. Bye, y'all.